We've come to Fukushima's no-go zone, a 20-kilometre exclusion area to test the government's claims that all is under control and it's safe for people to return. To get permission to enter, we have to take local resident Kazuo Okawa with us. He comes from Futaba, the town closest to the crippled Fukushima #1 plant.
Okay, that's the paper, that's from the day.
3年前の新聞です。
2011. So it's like time stopped on that day.
Stop.
So nothing has happened in this town, just from March 11, nothing.
Okawa-san comes back every couple of months.
一番は
I feel sad. I worked and played in this town and I enjoyed my life here, so I miss the good old days.
He says he nor anybody else will be coming home soon. The radiation is dangerously high. We're only allowed to spend 6 hours here.
50%.
50% in my heart I want to return here,
戻りたい気持ちは
but I know 100% I cannot come back.
100% 無理です。
The government is undertaking decontamination work in Futaba, but it seems to be having little impact.
So this is the local hospital at Futaba, and there has been attempts to clean it up. You can see in these bags down here, they've put radioactive soil in them. The problem being though, if you look at the dosimeter, we're still getting readings of 10, 12, which means that's 50 times the normal level of, say, Tokyo. So it is little wonder that people can't come back to live here.
And a little further away from Futaba, they're scraping off the topsoil from these former rice fields in preparation for people to return to their homes. Across the no-go zone, thousands of workers are busy making mountains of radioactive soil. The problem is there's nowhere to put the deadly piles and no one wants to live near them.
The source of all this contamination is just behind me, Fukushima's damaged reactors. A clean-up job is underway there, but it could take 40 years. In all, 500,000 fuel rods have to be removed one by one. It's a risky and complex job, and no one's sure of the outcome. A decommissioning project of this scale has never been attempted before.
Tokyo!
When it was announced Tokyo had won the right to host the 2020 Olympic Games, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was quick to assure the world that Fukushima was safe.
Let me assure you, the situation is under control.
But this whistleblower says the situation at Fukushima is totally out of control and no one knows how to fix it. He's a senior insider who has worked at the site run by TEPCO for more than 2 decades. He faces instant dismissal if he shows his face.
It's not under control. There are too many systems and they all have problems. It's made worse because all the experienced workers have reached their radiation limits, so TEPCO has to rely on staff that don't know the site and who aren't trained.
The whistleblower says mistakes are made weekly and contaminated water leaks every day into the Pacific Ocean.
The other day, when contaminated water overflowed from a tank, an alarm was ringing, but they didn't go and check. I couldn't believe it. It was ringing for 9 hours, and they thought the alarm was out of order.
The insider says the damaged reactors can never be decontaminated and that people should not be moved back into the no-go zone.
I feel it is impossible to fix before my death. We just don't have the technology to fix it. It currently doesn't exist. We just can't deal with the melted fuel.
Next month, the government will start moving back 30,000 Fukushima evacuees into the no-go zone. It's all part of the Abe government's plan to turn back on the country's 48 nuclear reactors by the middle of this year. They've been idle since the disaster. The government acknowledges the risks, but says they can be managed with new safety standards.
I have to admit that there is no such kind of a nuclear power plant with zero risk.
With no risk?
Zero risk.
Zero
risk.
Yes.
So I think we have to change our mind. We have to prepare.
But the push is meeting strong opposition. Now 3 former Prime Ministers have come out and slammed the plans in a country prone to earthquakes. Naoto Kan was the Prime Minister at the time of the nuclear disaster in 2011.
They are trying to restart the nuclear reactors without learning the lessons of the March 11 accident. If the accident had spread just a little further, then 50 million people around Tokyo would have been evacuated for a long time, and that would have put Japan in chaos for 20 to 30 years. The current government just doesn't understand the scale of the risk.
Former Prime Minister Khan says in the rush to turn the reactors back on, the government is not putting people's safety first. No national evacuation plan has been developed.
It's becoming clear they are trying to restart the reactors with no regard for the people's safety.
The Abe government says it's in the best interests of the economy to make nuclear power once again the core source of Japan's energy. Relying on imported coal and gas is threatening the country's fragile economic recovery. But another former Prime Minister, Morihiro Hosokawa, says it's a risk not worth taking.
The causes of the accident haven't been investigated properly. Contaminated water is still leaking, and compensation for victims hasn't been sorted out. I think in these circumstances it is very irresponsible to turn the reactors back on.
Back at Futaba in the no-go zone, Okawa is meeting old friends he hasn't seen since the disaster. They know too they won't be coming back here to live.
Đem Hồ Chí Minh chép sinh ra khói Ba Đình, hàng triệu thanh niên một lần sinh mắc. Đem Hồ Chí Minh chép sinh ra khói Ba Đình, hàng triệu người trai sao đành từ nào. Đem Hồ Chí Minh chết sinh ra khói Ba Đình, hàng triệu sinh linh sẽ được siêu thoát. Đem Hồ Chí Minh chép sinh ra khói Ba Đình, hàng triệu triệu dân sẽ được tái sinh. Đem Hồ Chí Minh chép sinh ra khói Ba Đình, hàng triệu thanh niên một lần sinh mắc. Đem Hồ Chí Minh chép sinh ra khói Ba Đình, hàng triệu người trai sao đành từ nào. Đem Hồ Chí Minh chết sinh ra khói Ba Đình, hàng triệu sinh linh sẽ được siêu thoát. Đem Hồ Chí Minh chép sinh ra khói Ba Đình, hàng triệu triệu dân sẽ được tái sinh. Đem Hồ Chí Minh chép sinh ra khói Ba Đình, hàng triệu thanh niên một lần sinh mắc, đem Hồ Chí Minh chép dịch ra khỏi Ba Đình. Hàng triệu người trai sao đành từ nào. Đem Hồ Chí Minh chết sinh ra khỏi Ba Đình. Hàng triệu sinh linh sẽ được siêu thoát. Đem Hồ Chí Minh chết sinh ra khỏi Ba Đình. Hàng triệu triệu dân sẽ được tái sinh. Đem Hồ Chí Minh chết sinh ra khỏi Ba Đình. Hàng triệu thanh niên một lần sinh mắc, đem Hồ Chí Minh chết sinh ra khỏi Ba Đình. Hàng triệu người trai sao đành từ nào. Đem Hồ Chí Minh chết sinh ra khỏi Ba Đình. Hàng triệu sinh linh sẽ được siêu thoát. Đem Hồ Chí Minh chết sinh ra khỏi Ba Đình. Hàng triệu triệu dân sẽ được tái sinh.